Can you imagine this coming down the road at you? Of all the bloomin' nerve! It may not be the fastest petunia on the pike, but it's got great stamen power. 57 Caddy, eat your heart out. Here's a cross-border road warrior who believes in feathers over flower power. Flowers, feathers, pins, and flames. All of these wild inventions are meant to infect us with a highly contagious case of good humor. And if the inventions don't do it for you, the inventors will. You gotta be a bit of an acrobat to get in and out of the green machine, but that doesn't bother its creator, Tim Young of Houston, Texas. Nothing much bothers Tim. Never mind he's been working on this project 20 hours a day lately. He's easygoing, and he's bursting with confidence. Let's face it, anybody who could design a car like this and drive it around the neighborhood isn't going to be a shrinking violet. So tell us a bit about yourself, Tim.
Okay, well, hi, my name's Tim Young. I own and operate a Sacred Heart Studio body piercing and tattoo. In my spare time here, I do steel sculpture and fabrication type setting here. Most recently, I've been working on an art car. It translates a lot of my different artistic talents into a large sculpture that incorporates a vehicle. This was originally a sculpture that I built from the ground up, and then I went ahead and removed a vehicle body from the frame and just retained the motor and frame and automated my sculpture with it.
Fair enough, but most automakers work with macho images like Chargers and Cavaliers and Mustangs. Why would you choose a flower?
I work with a lot of images and flowers and so on because I grew up in Alaska. And spring was always a big thing, and the flowers and the rebirth of the whole summer was just always a time that was really uplifting, and when spirits really started to rise and everything.
Tim's wife Diane is fully behind him, but it hasn't always been smooth driving.
It's been a labor of love, but it's kind of like giving birth. Lots of labor, but in the end, hopefully very rewarding.
In the end? What do you mean? What end? This is it. How can it possibly get any better than this? Driving Miss Daisy around Houston. And don't let Diane kid you. She gets a big kick out of it, too.
I love it. I'm ready to ride it around town on a permanent basis.
Diane's got plenty of opportunity to take Tim's art car for a spin. Because Tim is pretty much fully booked creating art of a different kind. Body art.
They're like putting something in. Cool. Thank you. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Sometimes he doesn't have a lot of time for me, but that's okay. As long as he's happy, he gets to create a lot, so it's good.
Anyways, want to come around, you can take a look here. As I was describing, we've got kind of a stem-like contour leading up into the bulb of the flower here. These contours are not actually the petals, but the relief contours that I saw in the actual flower that I was studying as a model. We couldn't really find even a small van that might carry the load appropriately, so we opted for a Chevy Suburban. Although there's not a lot of the body left in it, we did leave a small portion of the dashboard that contains electronics. I split the vehicle down the center here for ease of access to the motor and suspension and everything. It's very convenient for service and everything. It provides really cool operation for slow parade trafficking.
If Tim appears to know his way around large sheets of metal, it's because he has a solid background in industrial fabrication.
This part here has a lot more openness that I had given it by providing those bubbles and in the contouring the way I did. You can kind of see down the core of it here some of the aspects of construction. I've worked in an awning company before, and I've worked building boats and so on. I incorporate pretty much all my life experiences into each of my art pieces, and they all tend to evolve. This is the first time I've actually put one on a truck, but actually one of my first vehicles was an art car. I had inadvertently on an ice patch run into a telephone pole and damaged it severely. My instinct, of course, was certainly not to fix it, but to pull off the parts that were dragging in the motor and enhance and augment, you know, things moving and so on. Moved the radiator out onto the bumper and painted caution stripes down the side and so on. So I say I've kind of always instinctively been drawn to the art car type thing.
For a while, Tim set up shop in San Francisco, but he found the artistic atmosphere distinctly cool.
San Francisco was a pretty rough environment. Lots of the artists were really, you know, trying to chase me out of town. Like, we don't need another talented guy trying to show us up. So Houston seemed to have a lot more inviting Southern hospitality to it, and I thought I'd give it a try.
Once he hit Houston, Tim never looked back. Well, that's not entirely true. Every once in a while, he does remember good old mom and dad.
I think my parents were kind of disappointed for a long time. You know, you could have been a physicist, you could have, you know, done anything great, you could have been a great writer, and like, I am a great artist, and being a working artist is one of the most difficult jobs I've ever had to do. I have to do all those things in school that I hated all the time and deal politically with people and so on. I would have never guessed that being an artist was one of the most difficult jobs out there.
Uh-oh. Phew. False alarm. For a moment there, I thought it might be the art car police. Too much heat in this neighborhood. Might be a good idea to park this plant and wait for things to cool off. It's time to get back to work. In the tattoo and piercing studio. Tim Young never forgets that it's his human body art that supports his auto body art. We all know the famous Batmobile, but are you ready for the Natmobile? This is the brainchild of Natalie Leduc. Natalie's hometown is Ottawa, Ontario, but she goes to school in Houston, Texas. And she loves to drive her Blackmobile back and forth across the border every chance she gets. Anything to declare, mademoiselle?
I'm a graduate student at Rice University. I'm writing my PhD dissertation in French studies. And I'm interested in divagation, which means rambling, wandering, ranting. And after that, I don't know what I'll do.
Rambling, wandering, ranting? Sounds more like a weird wheeler's motto than a PhD thesis. And what better way to ramble than on a cage bike?
The cage bicycle idea was that you can put whatever you want in a cage, an animal, a person. You'll get many different meanings, but all these meanings are related somewhat.
I bite, I scratch, I'll make you.
So where did all this creativity come from?
My mother used to always play with us and do crafts and arts with us and things like that.
But it hurts you too. My thirst swallows you and tears you.
Living part-time in a cage has inspired Natalie to sing about it. Little Animals is the name of this song, which Natalie wrote and recorded with a band called The Fanatics.
I am a little animal.
Juggling schoolwork with all her other, more creative endeavors? Not a problem. You see, Natalie doesn't waste much time thinking about things. She just rolls up her sleeves, grabs the glue pot, and lets her spontaneity take over.
It's the first car I've ever owned, and it's the only car I've ever owned. And for me, when I got my car, it was natural to do something with it. I didn't thought about it. You know, I just said, yes, something's gonna happen with it. But I never thought of keeping it straight. I just wonder why other people keep their cars straight sometimes. But it's their choice.
Straight doesn't describe Natalie's path in life. She ignores signposts and rejects labels.
I don't consider myself really like an artist. For me, it's something natural. I don't think really about it. I just do whatever I want to do on the moment that I want to do. So. But when you're a kid, you just do like little things and you get lots of ideas. And I think that when you grow up and you get older, like an adult, then it's the time to use all the ideas you had as a kid and really realize them, because you can do it when you grow up, I think. Today, I receive feathers because I ran out of feathers. So I ordered feathers from New York, and we ordered 4 pounds of feathers to finish the interior on time for the parade, and we had to ship it by UPS. It took 2 days to arrive. And I had a very big surprise because you can see what came in the mail, actually. It's going to take a couple of months before we got the 4 pounds of feathers.
Pretty soon, Natalie will point the Natmobile north and fly back to Canada, where she's never sure what kind of a reception she'll get.
Last year, when I went to Canada, I was at the dentist, and when I came out, there was a police woman and a road inspector who were waiting for me at my car, and who were measuring my car and looking at it and going around, and I said, well, you know, there's something wrong with it. Then they say it's too wide and you have to do something. And I was a little bit worried about what they would ask me to do. And they told me that I had to add more lights. Even if I had all these, like 10 lights on the wings, they told me to add more lights. So I said, sure, I really like lights. So I added these 3 lights over here, and the 3 on the top, and the 2 on each side, 1 on this side here.
Nothing like a tub full of turkey feathers to relax in after a hard day of marbling your dashboard. Natalie might feel like she's from another planet, but we're delighted she made a stopover on this one. The ideas of most wild inventors seem alien first. I mean, who would have thought that covering a car with Portland cement, acrylic, and roofing material could turn an '89 Sunbird into a real flight of fancy? Natalie's not sure what life has in store for her next. Professorship? Another car to work on? Well, one thing's faux shoe. Those boots of hers were meant for rambling down the road less traveled. So long, Natalie. Houston, Texas, a major player in the world of big business, but also the undisputed capital of crazy cars, such as this optical illusion, dreamed up and driven by Stefan Stout. At the risk of being the millionth person to ask you, Stefan, which end do you...
Which end do you drive and which way does it go? To which I respond, when I put it in first, it goes forward, and when I put it in reverse, it goes backward. That would probably be the one reason why I would not want to keep the car, because that question just comes up so often.
Build it and they will ask, Stefan. So why 2 ends?
Typically, cars break down during the R-Car parade. So if you have a redundant backup system, i.e. another steering wheel, transmission, and engine, if one of them dies, you just start the other one up and you keep going. It's also a dream to park, since it's got 2 steering wheels. You can crab sideways into the curb.
His dad was a sculptor, which might explain Stefan's creative leanings. But a career as a theater technician kept Stefan in the wings until he burst upon the art scene with this torch truck.
I thought I was going to tear this car apart or send it to the junker after I got it built, but once you build something like this, it really changes your life. And when you see the great joy that it brings to everybody, you feel compelled to drive it as much as possible. Go 60 miles an hour.
Stefan spends as much time explaining the car as he does driving it.
Gets pretty good mileage, too.
How much do you think it's worth?
What do you think it's worth? Worth a lot of smiles.
It is.
It has the CD and everything. That's the driver's side right there. This is the side that really moves. This is phenomenal. How you doing? Would you want one of these? Mind the man.
And here's the man himself, ever mindful of the fact that his flame car has particular needs that require a pit stop at the supermarket. Half a liter of barbecue starter in the window washer reservoir gives Stefan about a day's worth of special effects. Stefan takes his automotive invention seriously. He's not just a guy with a blowtorch and a goofy sense of humor. This is a man on a mission.
Driving our cars around and possessing them and building them, but especially driving them, brings art to people that might otherwise not be exposed to it. Driving these cars through the poorer parts of town, you see people's faces light up and kids love it, and you're almost planting a seed, and not a seed of insanity, but a seed that says that there's something out there that's not commercially produced that you can participate in, that you can develop, that you should follow your own dream and not be fettered by what people tell you to buy or what you're influenced by in the media.
You won't find the flame car in any automotive showroom, and for good reason. Aren't the Houston police on your case, Stefan?
Our policy is you wave to them and they either wave back or they don't see you at all. I actually did get pulled over once, and I had a cop behind me, and his partner was walking up beside the car saying, "This is not the car, this is not the car." And I kept wanting to say, well, it's actually two cars. But in that instance, you basically shut up and listen and wait until they ask you a question and respond in kind. The one thing that was funny about the ticket was that when I actually looked at it, she had put down for the color of the vehicle rust, which there's not that much rust on this car. And where you put in how many doors it has, 1 door, 2 door, 3 door, she put down no door. So I thought that was pretty hilarious.
Stefan's working on another invention that the cops are sure to find even more hilarious. Stand back. That's right, a pair of motorcycles yoked together, pulling what looks like a Roman chariot.
This is Cyclist Maximus. I'm building it for this year's Art Car Parade. Engineering is something I've always been fascinated by, and I thought, well, why not? It would look bold, it would make a real statement, and I would find it challenging, at the same time very enjoyable. Right now, what I've done is I've taken 2 Suzuki motorcycles, which are fairly identical, but they're really not. This one's a 550 with a 6-speed gearbox, and this is a 750 with a 5-speed gearbox on it, so they're not very identical. Preliminarily, just to see if this thing was actually going to work, I took 10 pieces of steel, including the drag link up here, and 10 fasteners, and bolted this whole frame up just so I could put the bikes together and see how they handle when you take it around the block. I wanted to know, is it going to turn a corner?
Check out the steering on Cyclist Maximus. You turn the wheel to the right, the horses go left. I'd like to see Ben-Hur talk his way out of a ticket with this rig. That's Stefan Stout drifting our way. His car hasn't got a broken back. It's designed like that, to freak people out.
I can unlock this back end and let someone steer from back here, and the car will crab down the road like a camera dolly. Pretty exciting. Yeah. Okay, let's go right. Right.
When Stefan comes home at night, the whole neighborhood knows about it. If they don't hear his wild invention, they can see it. It's a sound and light show on 4 wheels. Not that the flame car is a mere ego trip. Your buggy performs a valuable public service, right, Stefan?
People love lighting their cigars on this plane.
Tim Young may be into flower power, but he knows it's not nectar that fuels his wild inventions. Just as high flyer Natalie Leduc knows she has to rendezvous with a gas pump between flights. And then there's Stefan Stout's flame car, which does not live by barbecue fuel alone. Easy there, big boy. Shut off the engine. Extinguish all cigarettes. Nothing here about dousing your flamethrower. Okay, fill her up.